And so it was just kind of like, and then everybody was into EMF back. So everybody's, oh my gosh, EMFs are causing this, cell phones are causing that, and so on. And I knew that that wasn't the case, but you couldn't tell anybody that. People believe what they believe.
Yeah.
Never try to change a man's mind. Just leave them go.
Yeah. Yes.
Show them something new, let them experience it, but don't try to change their mind. And that's kind of so the EMF kind of were always around, but I always knew that it was just it's the Earth. The Earth is a huge capacitor. It's charged by the sun. You know, electrons and photons are spewing down. The Earth absorbs these electrons and become electrified with excess electrons. And in fact, all living things on the planet are connected to the Earth and absorb those electrons, either the photons or from the negative charge of the Earth come up into the plants and all these things. So it's all it's all one big electrical phenomena.
Wow.
and, and I just by osmosis kind of knew some of this stuff, and then, but anyhow, so the whole concept was I spent the next couple of 3 or 4 years. I found a doctor, a retired anesthesiologist. He just recently retired board. He wanted something to do. He took interest in what I was doing. And so he did the first study where he said, I'm not sure that what you're doing is accurate, correct. But he said, I'm interested and I don't have anything to do, so I'll help you figure this out. So we went out and grounded a dozen women and and we measured stress hormone cortisol with saliva kind of slobs. They would chew them, and then we'd take them and put them in a capsule and then freeze them. And I take one, measure every 4 hours, measure their saliva cortisol every 4 hours for 24 hours. So we had a profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then we grounded them for a month, 6 weeks. And then we went back and did the same thing again. And then we sent them all to the lab, came back from the lab, and everybody, so I took everything and programmed it so I could see, you know, the ranges. And before, everybody's circadian cortisol secretion profiles, the younger women were very high, very scattered, and the older ladies were more exhausted. I mean, low. I mean, the cortisol was low. I'm talking about in the morning. In the morning, the women get up the high cortisol, and then at midnight, they would have higher cortisol. And it was kind of like spaghetti.
Right.
All over the place. And then we grounded them and we looked at the grounded ones. They all synchronized into a uniform profile where at 9 a.m. they were very high. Then they would drop all the way down to near zero at midnight and then go along to 4 a.m., stay near zero. Then at 4 a.m. they would skyrocket up and reach the highest peak around 6 a.m. and then it would deplete back down again.
Wow.
And we thought, wow, there's something going on. But the thing that stumped us was how, you know, there's no mechanism, that's no cueing device. What's cueing? What's causing the cortisol profile to? There's no light. There's no sound. What is this about? And to make it even more interesting, originally we had three stewardesses from New York that were on. They would lay over in San Diego 2 or 3 days a week, and somehow or another they got into our study, and and we started measuring their cortisol. Their cortisol when they would come to town was 3 hours off.
Mm.
They were on New York cortisol.
Yeah. Wow.
And here we were, San Diego. Okay. And so then when we would ground them, then we recognized that, 15, 20 minutes later, the cortisol would synchronize. Wow. To San Diego time. And then we recognized that the jet lag was related to having your cortisol out of sync. Your cortisol is high and you're, are low, and you're awake trying to operate. You can't.
That's right.
And so on. So
because cortisol is kind of, I look at cortisol as the opposite to melatonin, which is the sleep hormone.
Yes.
If you look at these charts, they kind of do the opposite things,
Yeah. If you're not sleeping at night, you've got elevated cortisol. That's the only reason you don't sleep. Otherwise, sleep's autonomic.
Well, gosh, I can speak from personal experience, just from trying grounding for the last kind of 6 weeks, and Sleep, oh my God. It's just like, isn't it an amazing feeling? You wake up feeling calm and rested. And
Yes.
even when you sleep like a short night, if I go to bed really late, I'll still wake up early, but I don't have that sunken feeling in the eyes. I feel like that was a good night's sleep. And I'm wondering,
Right.
I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit,
Sure.
but I'm wondering whether there's been any research done on, REM versus deep sleep and tracking that, because I used to have a Fitbit and I would look at how much deep sleep, how much REM,
Right.
and the deep sleep is the reparative stuff. And I wouldn't be
Yes.
surprised if grounding gives you more deep sleep.
Yeah. No, we did do a sleep study up in Reno at a sleep lab at the university up there, and it was related to the university. Anyhow, what we did find there's some uh, um, a lot of changes, a lot of whatever, but you do have more REM sleep.
Mm.
Yeah. And then the other cueing, I mean, the other thing that we learned over the years, what most people report for the first time in a long time, they start dreaming or they start dreaming in color. And so that's more related to, I think, your deep sleep. I'm not sure. But yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
follow the sleep trail too long because sleep is subjective
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
This helps you sleep, but if you got financial challenges or relationship challenges or whatever in the world, it's fight or flight and elevated cortisol and all those things.
Fair
So
enough.
sleep is more subjective. I
Yeah.
need to stay closer to the
Fair
things I
enough.
could.
You can actually measure. Fair enough.